Christmas morning, 1975. A British child unwraps a toy that could literally explode in their face. Another gets a chemistry set filled with actual poison. Down the street, someone's playing with what's basically a metal spear designed for the garden. And parents? They smiled, took photos, and thought it was all perfectly normal. These weren't accidents waiting to happen. They were gifts, wrapped in festive paper, under the tree. And if you grew up in 1970s Britain and survived your childhood toys, you're tougher than you think. Let's start with clackers, two heavy acrylic balls on a string. The goal? Smash them together as fast as possible until they clack above and below your hand. Simple, right? Except these things didn't just clack, they shattered into razor-sharp fragments while you were holding them at face level. The acrylic couldn't handle the repeated impact. One minute you're showing off to your mates in the playground, the next you're picking plastic shards out of your eyebrow. Some kids lost teeth, others needed stitches. The really unlucky ones, hospital visits for eye injuries. But here's the mad part, they were everywhere. Every kid had a pair. The louder you could clack, the cooler you were, until yours exploded, obviously. The government eventually banned them in 1971, but not before thousands of British children learned a valuable lesson about physics, the hard way. Now, chemistry sets, but we're not talking about vinegar and baking soda here. We're talking about legitimate chemicals that could burn, poison, or create actual explosions. These sets came with potassium permanganate, copper sulfate, sodium hydroxide, stuff that modern labs lock away behind multiple safety protocols. And they handed it to 8-year-olds for Christmas. The instruction booklets were basically guides to domestic terrorism. Mix these two powders to create a small explosion. Heat this substance over an open flame. Speaking of which, yes, they included Bunsen burners, actual burners that used real flames in a child's bedroom. What could possibly go wrong? Hold on, before we continue, you need to hear about what happened with lawn darts, because chemistry sets might burn you, but lawn darts, they could end you. Lawn darts, jarts, whatever you call them, they were the same thing. Foot-long, metal-tipped projectiles that you hurled high into the air, hoping they'd land in a plastic ring on the ground. Hoping, because these things didn't discriminate. They came down wherever physics decided. Sometimes that was a target, sometimes that was your little sister's skull. These weren't blunt toys. The tips were genuinely sharp metal spikes designed to stick into the ground, which they did brilliantly. They also stuck into arms, legs, backs, and heads. In America, they caused thousands of injuries and multiple deaths before finally getting banned. But in 1970s Britain, they were a garden party staple. Imagine the family gathering. Aunt Linda's had a few sherries, Uncle Bob thinks he's got the aim of an Olympic athlete, kids are running around, and everyone's chucking what are essentially metal javelins through the air. The 70s were a different time. Then there were the tin toys. Beautiful, colorful, and sharp enough to require a tetanus shot. Jack-in-the-boxes made from pressed tin with edges like razor blades. Wind up the handle, wait for the pop, and hope you don't slice your finger open on the lid. Tin robots, tin cars, tin everything. No plastic smoothing, no rubber edges, just raw metal stamped into shape. You could tell which kids played with tin toys. They had the scars to prove it. It was like manufacturers looked at sheet metal and thought, you know what children need? Handheld guillotines disguised as entertainment. The weird part? Parents saw the cuts and just grabbed the plasters. Be more careful next time, love. More careful with a toy that was fundamentally dangerous by design. That was the solution. But wait, it gets better. Or worse, depending on your perspective. Metal casting kits. These beauties let children melt actual metal, usually lead or pewter, pour it into molds, and create their own toy soldiers or figures. The metal had to be heated to over 300 degrees Celsius. That's hot enough for third-degree burns in seconds. The kits came with a small furnace powered by methylated spirits, an open flame, in a child's bedroom, melting toxic metal. The fumes alone were hazardous. Lead poisoning? Just part of the fun. Burns that scarred for life? Character building. And let's not forget, this was the same era when kids were playing with plasticine loaded with lead. The modeling clay you'd squish for hours, getting it all over your hands, under your fingernails, probably in your mouth if you were young enough. Lead, one of the most toxic substances known to medicine, in a children's toy, sold by the millions. Toy guns in the 70s weren't the bright orange plastic things with electronic sounds. They were realistic replicas that fired hard projectiles, ball bearings, plastic pellets, darts with rubber suction cups, except the suction cups fell off, leaving pointed plastic spikes. Kids running around shooting each other at close range with legitimate ammunition. Some cap guns were so realistic that police couldn't tell them from real weapons, which created its own set of problems. But the ones that actually fired projectiles, those were the real danger. Eyes were the common target, obviously. Can't aim properly when you're 8. Also can't aim properly when you're 8 and hopped up on Christmas morning excitement. The pellets hurt, properly hurt. Hard plastic or metal traveling at speed. There were countless stories of kids losing vision, needing eye surgery, or suffering permanent damage. But every boy wanted one, and most got one. Steam engines powered by actual fire were also totally normal gifts. Tiny metal boilers heated by methylated spirits or solid fuel tablets. The steam pressure would drive little pistons and wheels. Fantastic engineering, genuinely educational, and absolutely capable of causing serious burns or even exploding if the pressure valve failed. Children were trusted to manage live flames and pressurized steam. In hindsight, maybe not the best call. And pogo sticks, remember those? Metal spring-loaded sticks that you'd bounce on. The springs were completely exposed. Powerful springs that could catch fingers, pinch skin, or completely crush a thumb if you grabbed the wrong part while bouncing. The number of broken fingers and smashed thumbnails was impressive, but you looked cool doing it, so worth it? Even something as innocent as bubble toys had issues. The bubble solution contained toxic chemicals that could cause rashes, eye irritation, or worse if swallowed, which happened constantly because children are basically chaos engines with opposable thumbs. The bubble wands were often sharp plastic or had small parts that broke off easily. And remember bubble pipes? The ones shaped like actual smoking pipes to encourage children to mimic adult behavior? Those were fun. Nothing says childhood like pretending to smoke while inhaling chemical fumes from bubble solution. The 70s really had a unique approach to child development. Looking back, it's a miracle that anyone who grew up in 1970s Britain survived to tell the tale. These toys weren't recalled quickly either. They stayed on shelves for years. Some of them only disappeared because companies finally got sued into oblivion, not because anyone actually prioritized child safety. The culture was different. Risk was normal. Injuries were just part of growing up. Learn from your mistakes, even if those mistakes involved molten lead or exploding plastic balls. Modern safety standards exist because of all those hospital visits, all those scars, all those kids who weren't quite as lucky as the rest. But here's something that'll really make you think. Right now, today, there are toys on the market that future generations will look back on the same way we look at lawn darts and lead-filled plasticine. And the most dangerous toy of all from the 1970s wasn't actually any of the ones we've talked about so far.